Anime characters often have really surprising body stats. More often than not, they weigh way less than you would think, especially for characters who are like really jacked or super tall. One example of a really jacked character who's way lighter than you would think is Goku from Dragon Ball Z, weighing in like 135 pounds or something. It's pretty ridiculous if you know anything about, body weight, bodybuilding. But this is usually the case because a lot of manga and anime in general are written by Japanese mangaka, and the Japanese in general tend to be much lighter than, let's say, the Americans or people of the West, Caucasians. So they tend to just kind of stick with what they know or what seems realistic within their bubble, and that often leads to surprisingly light characters. So today we're going to look at some of the more popular characters from Jujutsu Kaisen and see how their body stats measure up. So we're going to start off with the students and then go into the teachers. Let's begin with the main character, Yuji Itadori. He stands at 5 foot 8 inches or 173 centimeters, weighing in at actually a very realistic 176 pounds or 80 kilograms. It's actually a bit heavier than I would have thought, especially he's only 15 years old. And at 5 foot 8, he's a pretty hefty boy. Estimated to be around 10% body fat, so he's in a pretty good condition athletically, which makes sense for someone who is able to do so much damage physically. He's in really good shape, and at 15 years old, those would be some really impressive stats in real life. Next up, we have Megumi Fushiguro, 5 foot 9, 175 centimeters. Weighing in at a much lighter 132 pounds or 60 kilograms, also 15 years old, and a little bit heavier in the body fat percentage, about 12%. So Fushiguro is definitely rocking a sleek, lean build and a much more realistic, slightly lighter actually than I would have guessed, but I guess it's typical of like a young Japanese male at 15 years old, 132 pounds. But much more feeble than his main character counterpart. Next up, we have Nobara, standing at 5 foot 3 inches or 160 centimeters, weighing in at a pretty realistic 110 pounds or 50 kilograms. Now that sounds very light, but keep in mind that she's pretty short at only 5 foot 3 and 16 years old, roughly 22% body fat. As you know, women tend to be a little bit higher in body fat percentage than men because they have other stuff to carry around. Another female character who's much leaner is actually Maki Zenin. She's a bit taller at 5 foot 7 or 170 centimeters, weighing in at 137 pounds or 62 kilograms, also 16 years old, and she's super lean for a woman at a 15% body fat. She has a very similar, I guess, build and structure to lean beef patty, if you know that influencer. Next up, we have Toge Inumaki, pretty short, 5 foot 4 and a half inches or 164 centimeters, weighing in at a light 121 pounds, 55 kilograms at age 17, and estimated to be at about 14% body fat. Last for our students, we have Yuta Kotsu, 5 foot 9 inches, 128 pounds at 17 years old, and about 11% body fat. Yuta is extremely light, only 128 pounds at 5 foot 9, and it shows in his really thin, gaunt face and physique. But Yuta is really more about skill and precision, accuracy, rather than overwhelming strength. But your boy's got to go on a bit of a bulk. All right, moving on to the staff, the teachers, we have the main man himself, Satoru Gojo, standing at a pretty surprisingly tall 6 foot 3 inches, 190 centimeters. So Gojo is a pretty tall guy, especially for the Japanese. And he's weighing in at a sleek 187 pounds or 85 kilograms, which, fun fact, is my current weight, except he's got some a couple of inches on me, being 6 foot 3 at 28 years old and estimated to be 10 to 12% body fat. So he's definitely lean, well built, but not jacked or bodybuilder by any means. Next up, we have Kento Nanami, who's 6 foot tall, 181 pounds. Oh, by the way, that's 184 centimeters and 82 kilograms. Also 28 years old, even though he comes across as much older. I guess it's because of his fashion sense. And being at a slightly higher body fat percentage in that like 12 to 15% range. Nanami has got, honestly, probably what most guys would consider to be the ideal physique. He's got a really good BMI. And he's got a healthy, kind of like a Chad-like physique, 6 foot, 181 pounds. You're looking at pretty close to ideal in that range. Next up, we have Suguru Geto, who's just as tall as Gojo, 6'3", 190 centimeters, except coming in about 10 pounds lighter at 176 pounds or 80 kilograms, 27 years old, in that 11 to 13% body fat. So also really good stats. It's a bit on the thinner side for someone so tall. Next, we have Shoko Yeri, 5'6", 168 centimeters, only 119 pounds or 54 kilograms, which is pretty light for someone who's so short. 28 years old, and in that, again, very lean for a woman, 20 to 22% body fat. And last up, for the main man himself, the coolest character, and my personal favorite in all of Jujutsu Kaisen, Toshi Fushiguro. He is 6'2" or 188 centimeters, which is quite tall. Weighs in at 203 pounds or 92 kilograms, making him by far the heaviest character that we've gone over. He's in his mid to late 20s at the time of his death. So he's in his prime, really, in that 6'2" and 203 pounds. Man is a beast. That is some really good stats, especially when you consider that he's like 7% body fat. That makes him extremely lean. This guy's essentially like pro bodybuilder, if you think about it. At 6'2", over 200 pounds, and that shredded, that's a hell of a physique, and that's like something that I know I aspire to, and probably a lot of you do as well. So that is our conclusion for the character height and weights for at least part 1 of Jujutsu Kaisen. If you guys liked the video, please be sure to like it, share it, comment down below. Let me know if you'd like to see a part 2 or another series. And yeah, that's, I guess conclusions are that actually JJK is pretty realistic, I have to say, overall, with its heights and weights for characters. It's pretty realistic. It's what you would expect. You know, some characters, of course, are a little bit lighter. Some are a little bit taller than I would have guessed. But overall, not too bad. All right, guys, catch you in the next one.